What is up, guys? It's me, Crashy, here again on YouTube talking about Infinite Crisis. Today we're going to be going over jungle paths for Gotham Divided and really the overall strategy of the jungler. So for you new guys, if you don't know much about MOBAs, I'm going to be covering this again, just talking about jungling. So jungling is my main role, and jungling is very, very important in any MOBA that requires it, which is almost every MOBA. So jungling is the act of, one, for this map, for most MOBAs, or two, for instance on Coast City, players in a game going into the urban jungle or into the jungle to earn their golden experience, to progress them through the game, to make them stronger like you are, to help your teammates out in the jungle, so that way you're not taking golden experience from the lane. Now the reason you do this is because, for one, you're going to be advancing your team. If you take 5 people and you put them all in the lane, that's one more person you have to share with. So if you take one of those people and you throw them into the jungle, they're going to be automatically getting more gold and more experience for your team. You're going to maximize your gold per minute, and overall your team is going to be in a little bit better place economically as you move into the mid and late game. So you can see on this map, which was provided by Turbine, that there's some few different camps here. I'm going to be using a paintbrush tool. You can see we have the 2 EMP camps here. We have the regen camps here. We have the speed increase camps here, which I don't really remember the exact name of them. And then we have all other camps, and everything is diagonally mirrored. So the only things that you need to remember about these are this camp and this camp are the shredders. These things hurt. So these 2 camps hurt. The rest are fairly easy to do for the orange triangles. Now, starting off in jungle, as you guys know, I've had a little bit of trouble, and when I say trouble, I just don't necessarily like the way the jungle role works in this game, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Now, I say I've had a little bit of trouble, but it's mainly because you have trouble learning the jungle and the exact role that goes into this map. So currently, I don't want to say the meta, but currently the meta is to have a solo lane, a duo lane, and another solo lane with a single jungler. So obviously you know that you're going to have that one jungler that's got to help his team out. He's got to get ganks, he's got to help control objectives, and in this map it is absolutely required to have a jungler. And the main reason why is because you're not going to get these buffs, these deployables in your bases, these beacons, if you're not jungling. So first of all, let's go over these really quickly. I'm not going to have the tooltips listed out for me. If I did, I would read them off to you guys to give you a little bit better understanding. The regen camp, basically after you kill it, the jungler is going to pick up his regen, and it's going to set the rank 1 deployable in the base. You know, over here it's 3 deployables and the wards, and then that deployable is now usable by anyone on your team. It's very helpful in your lanes and can really change the game. Of course, the speed increase, this one as well. Rank 1, if you kill one of these camps, will go back into your base. You can use as a speed increase in lane. The EMP camps over here will give you an EMP which disables turrets and minions, any artificial intelligence on the map for 4 seconds for rank 1. Going ahead and talk about rank 2 regen. Rank 2 is going to be an AoE heal. Not exactly sure how strong it is, don't really have the numbers for it. Same thing as speed increase is going to be an AoE speed increase. I believe it increases attack speed as well. For the EMP camps, it is going to be double the EMP, so the same radius with a duration of 8 seconds. And we also have, which I didn't cover, the Leviathan and the Raider. We'll talk about those in a little bit as a jungler, as they don't have a set position. It is either one of these on the map. So, as a jungler, you know, or if you don't know, the Marauder items are specifically created for the junglers. There are 3 Marauder items, one of which is going to be the Marauder Ring, the Marauder Shield, and the Marauder Knife. Now, the Marauder Ring is probably, I want to say, the weaker of the 3, but is primarily used for power junglers and gives you the power damage as well as the Marauder passives. Marauder Knife, of course, used for AD junglers, gives you Marauder passives, and the Marauder Shield could be used just in generally, and will give you Marauder passives. Now, they all share Marauder Burst 1, which is 10% damage to creeps, while the Shield blocks damage, the Ring has no additional passive, and then the Knife deals 10 extra damage through armor. So, usually on most junglers right now, I'm going to say this as a very broad statement, the majority of junglers are going to be running a set of dual Marauders with additional pots. So if you're running Doomsday, you're going to run Marauder Shield, Marauder Knife, and then health pots. If you're running Atomic Green Lantern, you're going to run Marauder Shield, Marauder Ring, and then additional pots. You can get away with the with Marauder Shield Medusas too, but it's a little bit, it's only good for certain champions. So just in generally, if you're trying to learn how to jungle, I would say try out double Marauder, pick either the Ring or the Knife, depending on what kind of a champion you're playing, and then take the appropriate health pots. If you're using mana, you could get 2 vials in a health pot, or if you're using someone that does not use mana, you can get 3 health pots and save the additional 50 gold. Starting off at level 1, the jungle is extremely hard to do, and you really need to prioritize how you do your jungle, how you get your golden experience as efficiently as possible. Let's talk about these bigger camps, the 3 that we know about: the speed, the health regen, and the EMP. I did that in a backwards order. They are going to be your bigger camps in the jungle. They're going to give you more gold, more experience, and they're going to get the deployable in your base off of the kill on these. Now, these camps have a 5-minute respawn timer, which means to me, in my head, that the sooner you kill them, the more efficiently you're getting your gold and your experience, and the more often you're going to be able to kill them again. With a 5-minute respawn timer, you could go on ahead and time them out on your chat, like I like to do, or as well as looking right below the timer in the game, you can watch for when they're going to be rephasing into the map and getting those back for your team. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys my starting jungle positions, my opener rotation, and talk a little bit about my strategy as a jungler and where I like to go and how I affect the game as a jungler and how I help my team. Starting off rank 1, level 1, no matter what the jungler is, I buy my double Marauders, I buy my appropriate pots, and I will start at either of the regen camps. Starting off with the regen camps, I really like to get a leash from mid. If you are not familiar with leashing, I'm going to go ahead and put a little description over on the top left corner. Leashing is going to be the help of a laner to the jungler, basically to help either take some of the damage of your starting camp or deal out more additional damage to your starting camp to give the jungler a little bit better clear, to help them out with some of the damage that they need to do in the jungle. So I'll take a leash at the regen camp, and to play it safe, I will instantly go from regen to speed. I usually go around the backside, right here, regen to speed. Now, the reason I go straight from regen to speed, even though there's 6 camps on either side with 2 neutral camps, and then there's the Raider and the Leviathan, which don't open up until a little bit later on, is because I said earlier, I'm trying to kill these jungle camps as fast as possible. I want them to respawn as fast as possible. I also want to get the golden experience. Now, this is the trickier part. This is where you have to start paying attention to what's going on in the map, where you're needed, and what you can accomplish with the health that you have, as well as the skills, the gold, and the experience level that you're at. Now I've gone from health to speed. I've killed speed. I've used both my consume and detonate if I'm running consume and detonate. If not, I've used my detonate spell, which I would recommend taking into jungle. And I have one option. I'm level 2 at this point, and I'm probably a little bit lower than half health, almost on most junglers. Now I have one more option. I can either go instantly into bot lane and look for a gank if I think we could pull it off. At this point, and I said again, I'm going to be a little bit low health, so if I don't think we can get a gank, it's really, you know, just going to be a judgment call. I will go on ahead and move to this bottom camp for a clear. Once you take that bottom camp, you're going to be getting as much gold as you could in that first rotation. That's really all you're going to be able to do, and you're going to back. And now you have the option to grab a new ward, a regen deployable, and a speed deployable. Going back, you are about level 3. I usually will take the regen deployable, and I look for any of my laners that aren't necessarily winning their lane. Someone that I could affect their lane in a positive way by dropping them a regen deployable. Most of the time that ends up being the mid laner. If not, if I find a laner that's just already excelling, I'll sometimes give it to them so I can keep them in the lane, allow them to stay in their lane longer, utilize buying at turrets, and increase their gold per minute by pushing out their enemy and making their enemy fall that much more behind. My second rotation usually involves either going to the bottom side of the jungle or the top side of the jungle, depending on where my laners are. If my laners are pushed to their tower, I will either come and help gank and look for a kill for an early gold lead, or I will avoid them and find my opposite lane, excluding mid lane, that is pushed against the enemy side. The reason I say it's better to be pushed against the enemy side is because now that opens up an avenue for us to kill the EMP drones. Now, the EMP drones are completely neutral in the middle of the map on both top and bottom lane, and while it's better to go ahead and get those away from your enemy, you also have to push your lane for it. It would seem that the meta in this map is highly rewarded for pushing, so I genuinely advise that you try to find your push lane and attempt to get an EMP drone right out of the start from your first back. If you can't do that, look for your push lane on your side and try to see if you can attempt to gank. After that, the jungle becomes very situational. There are often times when I look to counter jungle if I see an enemy jungler ganking. Maybe I'll come into their speed camp if I see him gank down into bottom lane. Maybe I'll see them into mid lane and I'm close by. I can go for a counter gank to try to clean up and help my mid laner. It's very situational. The main objective of a jungler is to support your team, make sure you're dropping the appropriate deployables, make sure you're building up the appropriate deployables to rank 1 or 2, as well as utilizing these EMPs, rank 1 and 2, to execute proper tower dives and objective control through destroying towers with 4 to 8 second stun on the turrets. That's a pretty small overview of the jungle so far. Moving over into transitioning to mid-game, you're going to have the Leviathan and the Raider balls drop into the map, at which point you probably want to be the deciding factor where the Raider spawns. If you're not familiar, the first ball that's open, either here or here, will spawn the Raider. The second one will be the Leviathan. For example, if you have your duo lane on the top side of the map, you probably want to open the Raider here on the top side of the map. If you have your duo lane on the bottom side of the map, you probably want to open it here. Getting control of the Raider or the Leviathan can be very important as it gives you the surveillance camera as well as a good chunk of gold and experience. Make sure you're communicating with your teams while trying to attempt going for these. I usually would say anywhere from level 5 to 7 you would try to attempt your first Raider. As long as it's safe to do so, maybe you got a kill in mid lane or you got a double kill in top lane or bottom lane depending on where the duo lane is. If that's how the map transitions, or you just pushed out the top lane, or maybe it was a 2v1 lane and were able to take the turret, and now you can attempt a Raider. You always, again, want to make sure you time that out. I believe it's a 5-minute spawn on the Raider. You can always look at the sliding bar at the top, and I know that's about it. Pretty much, guys, you just have to make sure that you're increasing the amount of time you spend while getting the buffs in the jungle, as well as being productive as possible, by assisting your teams, dropping deployables, ranking them up to the appropriate rank for appropriate situations, and progressing through the game from there. Another really quick starting tip is sometimes if you don't think that they're going to be so conservative, you may start from your regen and counter jungle over to their speed camp. It's something I typically like to do. It's a little bit unsafe and you have to use your spells in a timely fashion as well as hurrying up. Also, another great ward spot for your top laners is to be in this tri-bush on either side. As you can see, the very edge of the camp, it could also set up a very strong counter gank. Hopefully this video was informative. I'm going to try to post up as much as I can to give you guys examples. I know I did all the recording straight onto this screen, and I'm going to add to it. And hopefully this gave you a good overview of how the Gotham Divided jungle works. It's been Crashy on YouTube on Infinite Crisis, and I look forward to seeing you guys in game. Peace out.